I watched the events unfolding in Alaska, the arrival, the red carpet, the applause from Trump as Putin made his way over to greet him. I was dismayed, I have to say, and rather disappointed. What did you think?
Yeah, as was I. I mean, I think to throw out a red carpet welcome to a war criminal like Vladimir Putin is disturbing at every level. That having been said, I think we need to reduce it to the realpolitik of what Donald Trump is trying to do here. From his point of view, he isn't particularly minded about what's happening over there. In fact, he's not really acquainted with the detail. This is about one thing and one thing only. It is finally living up to that campaign promise he made that he would stop the fighting. He doesn't particularly care on what terms that happens. What he wants is a headline that says that the war between Russia and Ukraine, Russia's horrible incursion on Ukraine, has ended. Again, he doesn't really care what the fallout of this. And what he signaled very strongly is that once that is done, this becomes a European problem. He is washing his hands and walking away. And what he's banking on, Pat, is that the people who voted for him will think this is great. Of course, his enemies will not support it under any circumstances, but he's trying to deliver a win for his base, the people who voted for him.
It was apparent, though, who was top dog in Alaska. I mean, Putin arrived. He was cocky. He was fit. He was quick on his feet. He got into the beast, which to me was extraordinary that they should allow the president of Russia to get inside one of the most sensitive pieces of American equipment, the vehicle in which the president travels. And there was Putin waving and smiling out the window of the beast, which was win, 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 win on Russian television.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the idea that Trump, this so-called deal maker, was somehow going to get the better of an ex-KGB operative like Vladimir Putin, I think was a nonsense. And I think for any neutral, detached observer looking at what happened, it's very clear who was in charge in terms of those negotiations. And indeed, we're hearing media reports that members of Trump's team were walking away ashen-faced at what they heard and what they saw unfold behind closed doors, as much as indeed both men tried to put something of a positive spin on it afterwards. It's very clear to me that Putin came in with his position. The position didn't move. If anything, Trump has bowed to that position. And again, that's one of the reasons why I think the European leaders are coming over here, are coming over to the United States, is because they want to reiterate that they can't just have a peace on whatever grounds. But again, Pat, the bottom line here is Trump wants that headline. That's what it's all about, and he doesn't care what the fallout might be.
He looked exhausted. He didn't look in charge. And at the end, when they had that press conference, he allowed, strangely, Putin to monopolize most of the time that was given to that press conference and also to go first.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there probably is something to the idea, and we've heard this before, and we've heard it from body language experts and psychologists and others who say that there does seem to be Putin's sort of a command performance. That indeed Trump at one level even seems to be somewhat intimidated and cowed by Vladimir Putin. I think that that was in evidence when we saw. And again, this is what the world is seeing, and it's pretty clear to most of us. But whether it's clear to Trump voters who voted for him because they wanted an unorthodox approach, they wanted to do things differently, to tear up the rule book, in their minds, Donald Trump can do no wrong. And if he does deliver a piece of any kind, they'll be delighted.
One of the pieces I listened to yesterday was The Rest is Politics US, where Kathy Kay and Anthony Scaramucci were talking about it. And Scaramucci was speculating that Vladimir Putin has compromat on Donald Trump and reminded him of that in their only quiet time together, which was in the Beast. So as they drove off in the Beast, Vlad said to Donald, by the way, your compromat is safe. I'm not going to let it out. You're okay. You'll be fine. Now, that is a bit fanciful, but not beyond the bounds of possibility, unfortunately.
Look, nothing is beyond the bounds, I think, with Donald Trump. But my own view is that, I doubt that there is some sort of smoking gun there. And I happen to think with the nature of the internet, with the nature of media, notwithstanding how Russia operates, I still think that if there was something like this, it would be out in the ether by now. So I don't think that that's the case. But I do think that every time we've seen, at every angle, Vladimir Putin has outfoxed the man who calls himself the best negotiator on the planet.
I don't get it. If he doesn't have compromat on him, why isn't Trump more forceful? I mean, is it possible that little Vladimir Putin is able to kind of impose his personality through the Russian language on Donald Trump in his
I think
on his own territory. I mean, it is quite strange. It's not Helsinki; it's Alaska.
I think there may be an element to that, but at the same time, I also don't think Donald Trump is of the view that, look, Russia is a huge military power, second only to the United States. In his words, they have all the cards. From Trump's point of view, the only way that a deal is going to get done on this one is to bow to that a little bit. And I also think in the longer term, he wants to establish some sort of new relationship between the United States and Russia. And in so doing, that is going to require friendly relations, some bowing to Vladimir Putin. I do think he is minded that way. Now, whether he's terribly naive on that front is an open question. The other thing I'd like to throw into the mix when it comes to U.S. Russia relations is we all know how badly Donald Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize, and that's probably lurking in the back of his mind as well when all of this is transpiring.
What did you make of Melania Trump's letter to Vladimir Putin talking about children and the innocence of children? I mean, didn't mention the Ukrainian children that Vladimir Putin organized to be abducted into Russia from Ukraine. Didn't mention any of that, but said, "Oh, Vladimir Putin, Mr. Putin, you are the one with the power. You can change children's lives, da 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 da." But it was utterly bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, sort of an odd intervention, especially from a first lady who's really been very much in the background. I mean, most first ladies do take up a certain cause on the global stage, and they advocate quite strongly for that. She's done no such thing. So I do think that the letter was kind of an odd intervention. But again, this is the sort of stuff that the Trump people like, this sort of unorthodox, tear up the rule book, do it a whole lot differently. That's why they voted for Donald Trump, and that's why they're loyal to him.
The final thing, I suppose, is that Trump going into the meeting said, "We want a ceasefire, we want it now." He came out of the meeting saying, "No ceasefire, but instead we'll go for a long term peace plan," which of course could take years to negotiate while Russia keeps on pounding Ukraine. This is not what Zelensky wanted, but it's what Taco Trump folded on. He folded on his key demand. And also, he folded on sanctions on secondary sanctions on India and other countries.
Yeah, well, this is another case of the bark being louder than the bite, and that's something we're slowly, I think, or we should have known already with Donald Trump, is that what he says really doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. It's what he does that matters. And again, we've seen him shift the goalposts on lots of different things. He says one thing, he promises, in this instance, severe consequences if a peace plan wasn't agreed to, if he couldn't move Putin. That's all gone. So this is part of Trump's play. He just keeps talking. And as we know, Pat, much of what he says is either a total lie or an outright exaggeration. So that's holding true when it comes to his dealings with Vladimir Putin as well. And of course, as we've noted, the whole world is looking on, hoping somehow that peace can prevail here. But certainly Donald Trump and his team, people like Steve Witkoff, to a battle of wits, I'm afraid that they come unarmed.
Hmm. Do you know what reminded me more than anything? You know the way if an ordinary person walking down the street spots a Hollywood star and what they want is a selfie. It looked like that what Donald Trump really wanted more than anything was a selfie with Putin.
Well, perhaps, but
I mean, that's just
maybe.
a metaphorical way of viewing it. He wanted to be seen in the same room, breathing the same air as this Russian despot.
There may be an element to that. I mean, look, I think it's at some level there may be an element of transference here. Trump knows deep down the extent to which flattery moves him, and that's why we see so many world leaders who've said kind of embarrassing things, lying prostrate in front of Donald Trump in order to get him onto their side. Perhaps he thinks that Vladimir Putin is the same as him. That the more he flatters him, the more he can bring him around. And again, I think he's underestimating who he's dealing with. A very cold, hardened, former KGB operative who has absolutely no concern for human rights, for the lives of his people, for the lives of other people, and is animated by a certain worldview which puts Russia at the top and him as the supreme leader. So he's totally underestimating who it is that he's dealing with. He's not dealing with somebody who's motivated principally by personal ego or by vanity. It's the cause of Russia that motivates him.